GPT-5.6 Terra, Kimi K3, and DeepSeek V4 all want to run your coding agent, and we tested them across cost, coding benchmarks, speed, context limits, and deployment to find out which one actually deserves the job. The biggest surprise, the model with the best published coding benchmark score is also the one community reports call slow, expensive to actually run, and prone to failing strict JSON output, exactly where an agent pipeline can't afford to fail. Here's the pricing, straight from the official docs. GPT 5.6 Terra charges $2 per million input tokens and $12 per million output tokens after OpenAI's July 30th price cut. Kimi K3 charges $3 in and $15 out, the most expensive of the three on both ends. DeepSeek V4 Pro looks like it's not even competing at 43.5 cents in and 87 cents out, a pre-GA rate as of July 2026. Do the math on that gap. DeepSeek is roughly 4.6 times cheaper than Terra on input, and nearly 14 times cheaper on output. If you scale that to a real workload, say 100 million output tokens in a month, DeepSeek V4 Pro comes out to $87. That's the number that makes this look like an easy win. But there's a catch, and it's the reason we're not calling this cost category a clean victory without a warning label attached. That $87 figure is pre-GA pricing. Starting August 16, 2026, DeepSeek's output price is scheduled to jump to $3.96 per million tokens, according to Engadget's reporting on the increase. Run that same 100 million token month at the new rate, and your $87 bill becomes $396. That's not a rounding error, that's a 4.5 times cost increase, and it happens automatically, whether you plan for it or not. So on paper, DeepSeek V4 Pro wins cost today. But today has an expiration date stamped on it. If you're building a production pipeline around this price, you're building on a number that's already scheduled to disappear. We built this comparison from official pricing pages, artificial analysis benchmark data, and community-reported hands-on testing, not marketing copy. 20 sources, 5 test categories, 36 data points, so let's get into it. This is the test that should matter most for an agent, and it's also the messiest of the 5. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Kimi K3 scores 88.3% on Terminal Bench 2.1, a number verified independently by Vellum's leaderboard, not just Moonshot's own claim. That's a strong, real, agreed-upon result. DeepSeek V4 Pro lands around 55% on SWE Bench Pro, which puts it behind Claude Opus 4.7's 64.3% and Kimi K2.6's 58.6%, and it currently ranks 35th on Code Arena. Not a disaster, but clearly the weakest of the three here. GPT 5.6 Terra is the wildcard. We couldn't find a published direct coding benchmark figure for Terra itself. So on raw published benchmark data, Kimi K3 takes this category outright because it's the only one of the three with a solid verified score to point to. Here's the tension though, and we'll come back to it. A benchmark score tells you what a model can do in a controlled test. It doesn't tell you what happens when that same model is running inside a real agent loop, hitting real timeouts, and returning malformed output. Keep that in mind because the next two tests are where that gap starts to show. Its sibling model, GPT 5.6 Sol, scored 64.6% on SWE Bench Pro. But that's a different model in the same family, not Terra's own number. Coding benchmarks measure intelligence. Speed measures whether your agent pipeline actually finishes the job before you've context switched to something else. And this is where the story flips hard. GPT 5.6 Terra outputs at 120.4 tokens per second, according to artificial analysis measurements, ranking 33rd out of 188 models tested. Kimi K3 outputs at just 39.5 tokens per second, ranking 52nd out of 106. DeepSeek V4 Pro sits in between at 89.7 tokens per second, ranking 23rd out of 106. Put those numbers side by side and Terra isn't just faster than Kimi K3, it's more than 3 times faster. For a single short response, that difference might not matter. For a tool-heavy agent pipeline running dozens of calls back to back, generating code, running tests, iterating, that 3 times gap compounds into minutes, then hours, over a full day of agent runs. Time to first token tells a closer story. Terra responds in 3.56 seconds at its high reasoning setting, Kimi K3 in roughly 2.9 seconds. We don't have a published time to first token figure for DeepSeek V4 Pro, so Terra wins speed clearly, and it's not close on raw output. This is also the point where Kimi K3's benchmark lead starts to look expensive. It scored highest on terminal bench, but at less than a third of Terra's output speed, that intelligence advantage has to be weighed against how long you're actually waiting on it. That's a small edge for Kimi K3 on the very first response. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Every one of these 3 models now offers a 1 million token context window. That's genuine parity, no winner here. All 3 can ingest an entire large codebase or a long document without truncating the input. Where they split apart is on the output side, the maximum a model can generate in a single response. GPT-5.6 Terra caps out at 128,000 tokens. DeepSeek V4 Pro goes further, at 384,000 tokens. Kimi K3 blows past both, supporting up to 1 million output tokens in a single request. That's not a small gap. Kimi K3's output ceiling is roughly 8 times larger than Terra's, so Kimi K3 takes this category clean. If you need to feed a model a huge document, all 3 handle it. If you need that model to hand back a similarly massive amount of code in one shot, Kimi K3 is the only one of the 3 that doesn't force you to split the job into pieces. There is a real caveat on context and output limits worth naming before we score it. If your workflow involves generating an entire codebase or a massive refactor in one pass without chunking the response, Kimi K3 is built for exactly that job in a way the other 2 aren't. 2 questions decide this category. Can you self-host it, and can it see images? On open weights, Kimi K3 and DeepSeek V4 Pro both qualify. Kimi K3 as a 2.8 trillion parameter mixture of experts model. DeepSeek V4 Pro at 1.6 trillion parameters. Kimi K3 is reportedly self-hostable on standard hardware like 8AX B300 or MI355X GPU setups. GPT-5.6 Terra is proprietary, full stop. You're running it through OpenAI's API or codecs, and that's the only way. On vision, the picture flips. GPT-5.6 Terra supports image input. Kimi K3 also supports image input. DeepSeek V4 Pro does not, it's text only. So this category splits. Kimi K3 wins overall for combining open weights with native vision, the most flexible setup of the 3. Terra wins the vision half outright against DeepSeek. DeepSeek's open license is real, but text-only input rules it out for a huge share of real agent workflows. That's a hard blocker if your agent needs to read a screenshot, parse a UI mockup, or work from a diagram. DeepSeek V4 Pro simply can't do that job. GPT-5.6 Terra wins speed outright at 120.4 tokens per second, more than 3 times Kimi K3's output rate, and it carries the most competitive flagship pricing of the 3 at 2.0 and 12 per million tokens, plus native vision input. Now, GPT 5.6 Terra wins speed outright at 128.4 tokens per second, more than 3 times Kimi K3's output rate, and it carries the most competitive flagship pricing of the 3 at 2.0 and 12 per million tokens, plus native vision input. DeepSeek V4 Pro wins cost today at 0.435 and 0.87 per million tokens, but that pricing is scheduled to jump to 3.96 per million output tokens on August 16th, 2026, and it can't process images at all. For most people building a coding agent right now, GPT 5.6 Terra is the pick. It isn't the benchmark leader, we couldn't even find a direct coding score for it, but it's the fastest by a wide margin, competitively priced, and it supports vision. In a tool-heavy pipeline running dozens of calls a day, that speed and reliability edge matters more than a single benchmark number. Kimi K3 is the right call specifically if you need open weights, native vision, and the ability to generate massive output in one pass. That combination doesn't exist anywhere else on this list. DeepSeek V4 Pro only makes sense if you're on a strict budget, don't need vision, and you're comfortable with pricing that's about to change dramatically. The gotcha in this whole comparison is DeepSeek's price tag. The headline number everyone's citing is 0.87 per million output tokens, dirt cheap. But that's a pre-GA rate, starting August 16th, 2026. That number becomes $3.96 per $1 million tokens at peak, a jump of roughly 4.5 times. Anyone building a production budget around DeepSeek's current pricing needs to plan for that number to be temporary. If you're deciding between the open weight route and the proprietary route more broadly, that's a bigger question than just these three models, and it's exactly what we break down next.